Police officers are intended to be public servants, but what happens when the officer is accused of misconduct? Sometimes a civilian puts in a complaint against the officer and steps towards holding the officer accountable. But when a police officer is accused of misconduct, only a small percent of complaints results in the officer being disciplined, partly because the accusations are hidden. Records of misconduct are filed away and rarely seen outside of their department. Investigators can't take action against corrupt officers if they are missing the pieces of the puzzle regarding the story of misconduct. That's where Missin Peace comes in. Missin Peace is a national police misconduct database that collects formal complaints. Released in 2017, the database enables civilians to put the formal complaints they file against the officer on record. Unheard Voices had the chance to chat with Missin Peace founders, Dr. Jovanni Felton and Mrs. Crystol Siles, on the creation of the National Police Misconduct Database and their mission on being a voice for the voiceless. Can you tell Unheard Voices a little bit about yourself and your background?
I have a background in business administration and finance. So both my bachelor's and my master's are in business administration. I've spent my entire career working in education. I have a lean and a lot of experience in technology and how to use technology to develop databases and that kind of thing. So, and of course, living in Maryland, we have experience with bad law enforcement.
Oh Lord, tell me about it.
So, I mean, there isn't anybody who we know who has not been touched by some form of bad law enforcement.
Exactly. All right, Dr. Felton,
Yes,
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your
yeah,
background?
absolutely. One of the first points I want to make about missing pieces is that it's not anti-police because there are a lot of good police out there. It just seems as though lately there have been a lot of bad apples that are showing their true colors uh, in the law enforcement field. But my background goes, I'm also in education. I was a former teacher, former counselor um, for over 20 years in that profession of public schools, private schools, working with K through 12. However, there was a need to develop a program of this magnitude once we started hearing that there were so many complaints and concerns from the general public about police brutality, police behavior,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed to be that there was no consequences for any type of bad behavior, quote unquote, with law enforcement. You would hear one thing, and then they'd still be on the job. They would still be, and I'm just talking about from my community growing up in New York, where we had cops that would do things to us growing up, and we would make complaints and have concerns to the higher administration, and
Right, right.
that cop would still be. You would see that cop actually had a reputation within the neighborhood for
Probably got a promotion.
right, right. So nothing would ever happen. So this is just a godsend to develop this program and to get it out there. And first and foremost, we want to thank you for allowing us to share the story with the public and to get it bigger and bigger and grow it as much as we can to help the community.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So, I guess I know we've been talking about missing pieces, but so for somebody who just came in on the interview, so what is missing pieces?
Well, I'm gonna hand that over to Crystal and let her tell you a little bit about
Okay.
it and how simplistic the whole missing pieces concept is.
Okay.
It's a database, and I will backtrack a little bit of the why it's important. So most police misconduct complaints go into a deep dark hole.
Mhm.
There is no most states and most agencies do not publish their complaints. That data is completely unknown. And we did have one database in Maryland, but what they did was cherry picked which misconduct complaints they
Um,
would, include.
is that for that reason? Like they, because they don't keep track. The police can go from one agency to the next. From one county to the next because they're not keeping track of the.
And
What's
I think that's where Crystal was
And
going
right,
because
right.
it wasn't the regular population database; it was actually a law enforcement
Database.
agency database. So,
yeah,
Okay.
so the only way to get around the secrecy is to have citizens self report their
Hmm.
misconduct.
That's brilliant.
but
Hence the database.
Hmm.
And we require to use the database that you actually go and submit the police misconduct complaint, and you will get a tracking number when you do that. You could some agencies let you do it online, some you actually have to go there. There are two reasons we require you to do that. One, because that takes away the agency's excuse that I never knew. Nobody ever told us. Well, yes, they did tell us. And I always say sunlight is the best disinfectant. So if it's now made public, you can't ignore it.
Exactly.
You won't make it public. We'll make it public.
Exactly.
And the other side to that is we don't want this to be a database where people just take out their grudges. So
Hmm.
it has to be a legitimate complaint that you're willing to go and file. And so it must be uploaded so
Hmm.
that we know it is a legitimate complaint. So I don't know if you want me to share the database, what it looks
let me
like.
just piggyback.
Um,
Let me just piggyback just a little bit with
okay.
Crystal. To add to that, our research showed that many just regular citizens they don't trust going down and having their complaint um, viewed by the police agency. They don't trust that anything is going to happen. So over the years, we had to come up with a plan that how would one feel safe of making a complaint and making sure that complaint is out there for everyone to view. So that was one of the research factors that we came up with that Missing Piece allowed you, a citizen, to do it online, as well as you wouldn't believe that research shows that people do make enormous amount of complaints against police. It's just not for the murders that we see or the brutality that we see on TV, but police do a lot of harassing of citizens, a lot of wrongful detainment, a lot of wrongful arrests. So all of that compromises complaints that go against the police. Just in the cases that we know now that you see on TV, where Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, et cetera, those police officers in every case had multiple complaints against them
Hmm.
where they should not have even been on the force or allowed to continue their law enforcement career. I think, for example, uh,
Dr.
George
Shelby,
Floyd, George Floyd killer.
excuse me, just make sure your head is stay in that video for me.
All right, all right. Um, just for example, when we talk about Floyd's killers and Breonna Taylor's killers, those police officers had uh, all type of misconduct allegations
Mm-hmm.
against them. As far as sexual misconduct allegations against them, numerous times,
Mm-hmm.
and those complaints were never taken serious. They were never terminated from their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in any other profession and you have complaint after complaint after complaint, you're going to get terminated. But it
Mm-hmm.
seems like within the law enforcement realm, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, they just have no accountability at all.
And if they do in one agency, they transfer to another agency or
Mm-hmm.
to another city or to
Right.
another state. And so it's like, yeah, we know, but you're still good. Go and do what you do.
Yeah,
And
so that's what. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say a recent example of that is January 6th. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those law enforcement officers who were involved in that riot knew it was they wouldn't be able to stay where they were working. So
Mm-hmm.
they moved to other agencies immediately to
Mm-hmm.
avoid having any repercussions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tell you, I say that's why we need the missing pieces, so that way we can hold them accountable. And,
Absolutely.
and I was, like I was talking to Dr. Felton, at the gym, and I was telling him, years ago, I wish they would have this. Well, in 2004, police were starting to do some things, okay? But then now it's just like you say, it's 2022, and things don't just hit the sale. I mean, it's just out of control, okay?
Very much so. And the other thing that we have with Missing Piece is that, in the last 10 years, cell phone video and videos in a whole have come to light. So with
Mm-hmm.
Missing Piece, our data program allows you to
Mm-hmm.
download videos,
Yeah, that's
any
what.
type of letters, any type of complaints that you have, any
Mm-hmm.
type of conversation that has happened from a written standpoint or a legal standpoint. You can upload all that documentation to show that your complaint is legit against this police officer or the officers in general who had anything to do with you.
That's good. So at this point, what I would like to do, 'cause I really, we're talking about the process uh, of missing pieces, and I want to know, how does a civilian submit a complaint? So what I'd like to do, I would like to go onto the website and see how we can go in here and submit a complaint.
And it's
Okay.
very simple. So,
Do you
Ms.
want me to
Sills,
share?
would you like her to
So,
show you?
just hold on. I'm gonna share my screen with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then once I get there, then you can tell me what to do.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Sounds good.
All right. So let's share. Let's share my screen. And share screen. Audio screen. And share. All right. Do you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, what's the first thing I do as a new person coming on to Missing Pieces, and I have a complaint that I would like to put into the database?
Okay. First, have you registered?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Well, I did, but for the sake of this our interview, I haven't.
Well, we don't. The registration process is the same as if you were registering for an account with Amazon or any other.
Can I push? I'm gonna push that button. Okay. So I
So
see
it's your
there.
basic information, your name, address, the state, what your email address is, a phone number, and you create your own password. And then to verify that you are a person, a real person, then we have the letters that you have to fill
Okay,
in.
so I'm gonna put my name in there. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna put my name in there. I got my last name for the people who looking. My address. We're gonna say Happy Home.
There you go.
Okay, and then my city. I'm gonna say is Aberdeen. Okay, we got the state bill. It's just showing the people how easy it is to use the system. Okay, and my zip 21. Uh-uh. Okay, go I type something in wrong. 21 allows you to go back, which is wonderful. Okay, so now here it says it asks for a password and everything. I see that, and then it asks me. I agree to register, and they also have a security thing here
Right.
that allows you to check. Okay, so but because I registered already, I'm not gonna hit register. But
Okay.
as I can see here, for people for the Unheard Voices viewers, you can see here where it says you had to push this button in order to register.
Correct.
All right. So, but at this point, uh, I'm going to go back to the main screen. So I can go back there. So how do I, if I want to go back to the main screen, I can just
Hit your back arrow.
hit the back button. Okay, there
There
we
you go. So now you can log in.
go. All right, so let's log in. All right, I already got my email. I already got my password already set, and I'm going to say sign in.
There you go.
All right,
So
all right.
now you can add your new complaint.
Okay, so I'm going to say add new complaint.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So you can see you have the office's name. I'm just going to say K. Now, when you put in all the information, right?
Yes.
Okay, I see here you got the officer's rank, the officer type. Now, are these all required fields?
Yes.
And those are
Okay,
down.
so you have to put in the information.
And that's
Okay.
information that you'll take from your complaint.
Oh, okay. That's how you get that information. The
Yes.
badge, you go to the department.
We
Okay.
even have fish and wild game wardens included.
Oh, okay. And underneath this, so let's go through some of the.
So
That's
officer type,
yeah. So let's go through some of that. You have border. Go ahead. Do you see it? You have
I can't see
okay.
it.
So I see here. You have the border patrol agent. You have detective, federal air marshal, fish and game warden, immigration and custom agent. You have a sheriff, special agent, state police and highway patrol, transit and railroad officers, and uniform. It seems like you covered all bases.
We definitely have to,
Yeah,
because there are complaints in all those different fields of
yeah,
law.
I can. Man, it's like, and it's so wild because with the advent of the video, we're catching so much,
Correct.
and then they still try to get away with things, even though we're catching it on camera.
Right.
It's, al-
Exactly.
it's almost like sometimes they feel, well, we don't care anyway. We're in control, so we're still gonna do things our way. But like you said, if we can hit them in their pockets, hold them accountable, so they'll stop doing what they're doing.
That's why missing pieces is so important. Now
Okay,
we have a way to track them.
okay, so now I have this information. Now, I have like the badge. Like, say for example, can I submit? If I fill it all out, I can submit it. Like, say if it was data that I don't want there anymore, can you take it out of the database? I'm gonna I'm gonna put information in. Can you can we go back to view the complaint?
Yes. So
Okay,
once you complete all of the information.
Okay, let me see. I put some numbers in. But say if I don't want this record anymore to
I
show
can go
up.
back as an administrator and take it out.
Oh, okay, but the person can. Okay,
Correct.
okay. So I'm just going to put some numbers in here because I want to look at viewing the corporate IDs. Uh, and if, yeah, in department. Uh, I'm just going to put anything. Uh, district. Uh, date of interaction. Okay, 11, 10. Uh, this is 20, 22. We didn't get there yet. So I'm gonna
And that's an important piece that we don't want to forget. We can also put you can also put in there, anyone who's listening can put in old complaints also against.
oh, okay.
You can go back to as far as you as need be, from 1997, from 2005, and all those complaints can still go in there.
Okay, now that's good.
And let me say here, if there are any activist organizations listening and they have bulk information on complaints,
Mhm.
our webmaster can actually upload that information on their behalf
See, that's a great feature.
instead of putting it in one by one. We could do a bulk upload.
Okay, so I can select my type of complaint. I'll just choose anything, domestic. All right, so now complaint documents. Okay, I don't have any documents or anything at this time.
So this is where you would be required to upload your complaint.
Okay, so
You would
here,
just attach, you would make scan a copy of the complaint to your computer or your phone, take a picture of it. You can actually do this whole process on your phone as well.
okay, so here I would choose a file. So if I say choose file, it should allow me to come up with and allow me to choose a file. Okay, and allow complaint company too. So it allows up to 3 files.
Yes, so it could be your complaint plus video or any other. It could be um, documents from witnesses. It could be
Mhm.
anything.
Okay,
Or a copy of a ticket, copy of
okay,
anything that you have that you want to document, you can put on this website with, and the document part.
great. And so when it's here, it says complaint details. So here it gives the opportunity of the people who are complaining to describe in more detail.
Yes.
Their side of the story and what happened, why they received the complaint, or why the complaint is not valid. Why this complaint is not valid in the sense of they didn't believe that they should have justly received this complaint.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So, whatever additional details they feel necessary to explain the situation.
Officer became
You
aggressive.
know, and people need to understand off-duty police officers can have misconduct complaints too. It's not just what they were doing while on duty. If
Right.
they're at a restaurant and they're off duty, but they get upset with you and they pull their gun on you or they try to intimidate you,
Hmm.
that's police misconduct.
Right.
As long
Yeah.
as you file a complaint, you have the documentation to put in the missing pieces, and we can follow that officer.
Would be my complaints that I put in,
Right.
and you can only see your complaints, not someone else's complaints.
Oh, okay. On that particular officer or those particular, like say for example, you want to see all the complaints. Oh, all the complaints that you put into your in there, you can see all yours. But say for example, you want to see all complaints uh, coming out of a certain precinct on a certain officer.
Okay,
Can you?
so there are two different types of logons that are available. One is just the regular citizen log on, and that's what you had,
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to upload your complaints and you can only
Right.
see your complaints.
Right.
There's a second log on that is a researcher log on, and that's the one that allows you to see the actual reports. So this is what you would see, so that you could search on all of these different fields and actually bring up a report.
Oh, okay.
Different. So this
So
was
um, you could select it by the person's name,
Mm-hmm.
type of officer.
And then it would query the database accordingly.
Yes,
Nice.
by the name, right? So the
yes, by
last
the
name.
name.
So the last
So these
name.
will be all commanders. Um, and then you can download that report
Mm-hmm.
and you can manipulate it how you need to be able to see the results. So you could do statistics based on,
That was one
uh,
of my questions. Yeah.
yes, so you can download it into Excel. If you just wanted a flat copy of the report, you could do a PDF copy if you're like just adding it into a document. But if you wanted to actually do statistics on it, you could bring it down into Excel and be able to do whatever you wanted to with the data.
Oh,
And
nice.
what we did for safety's sake, we stripped the complainant's information out. So there's no identifying information. It's just the information regarding the interaction and regarding that officer,
Right.
because that's the legal complaint, but we're not giving that complainant's name or address or any of that information. That is private. So
Okay.
what would happen, we hope that researchers, attorneys, so if an attorney is defending somebody, they
Mm-hmm.
would be able to go here and they would be able to see the breadcrumbs of, well, what kind of officer is this? Does this officer have 70 complaints over 4 different agencies?
Mm-hmm.
So if that attorney wanted additional information, they would have to contact us. And
Mm-hmm.
then we would contact those individuals and say, is it okay for us to give that attorney your personal information?
Okay.
Yeah, they would have to sign off on that. So we're not just giving anybody's personal information. We want the complaint information out there, but we want to protect people's identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that a type of thing where you try to tell the people up front so they won't be deterred from submitting information because they might be too afraid the cop may come after them.
Uh, Yes, so it's in, when you read the instructions for signing up, it's a lot of legal information up front when you register. Yes. So we're not giving out anybody's personal information unless they give us the okay.
Yeah, which is great. Okay, so go ahead. Yeah, then, what I want to know also was how does the system ensure accuracy from the submissions? Meaning the verifying the submissions are real civilian complaints.
Before it's actually published to the database, we go in and we look at it.
Okay.
And so ultimately, you, the user, are responsible if you put fraudulent information out there, because we're telling you up front that it needs to be a legitimate complaint.
Okay.
So if we get contacted and it's not a legitimate complaint, we can take it down, but we do look at the documentation before we actually publish it.
And that's why, in order for it to be a legal issue with what's going into missing pieces, is that you have to have that documentation that you have filed a complaint with city, state, what have you, and that's our ability to show that this is a legal complaint. These aren't just fabricated suggestions or opinions from anyone who puts that in the system.
So basically, what you're saying is uh, most people that will be putting in a complaint most likely had already also put in a complaint within the police department.
They would have to. They would
Right.
have to.
They would have to do that in order to utilize that information
You have to.
within your
Right.
database.
Exactly. It has to be a complaint that matches what they have complained, or what they have the legal written complaint from that uh, avenue of officers or the precinct or
Mhm.
well how you may have it, wherever that may be. It's a legal document coming to us being put in missing pieces. The part where we came up with missing pieces is because that document that was given to those people, once they made that complaint, nothing was ever done with those complaints.
Right.
So, we don't, in our research, some of those complaints are just missing complaints.
Mhm.
They don't know what happened to them. The citizens still have the record of those complaints, but the police stations, how the governmental pieces, they don't have the records that we will have now from the average citizen.
Mhm.
So that's how the citizen actually runs this program. It has nothing to do with a legal agency. It has nothing to do with the police department. It has nothing to do with DAs or lawyers. The citizen is actually putting this complaint in, and the numbers will show when they want it to be added up, configured, that it is right in front of you.
And let me say, this is where the additional documentation supports that complaint. Because if you have video of the interaction or, affidavit from a witness, that lends credibility to that complaint. And then when we go review it, oh, well, they have witness documentation. And here's the video that a witness took.
Or not only that, here's the actual complaint
Yeah.
that is in the system that you took a picture of and you downloaded that complaint. So that's how we know. That's how it's legal and that it is up to the task.
Okay, so all right. For my next question, I want to know how has the marketing been going? How has that been going?
That has been difficult, and which is why we're reaching out to people such as yourselves. We're starting to work with activists because what we found out was we tried to go with some of our politicians, to try to get them involved, especially when they were talking about, the George Floyd bill.
Mm-hmm.
They were polite, and that's the best I can say about it. And they get on these platforms. We need this database. Okay, we have this database,
And they
and
never want to do right.
right. And the other piece,
And one piece about it is we're self-funded too. We don't have anyone giving us money. We don't have any agency giving us money. We don't have any we're self-funded. We do this on our own because it is needed. But now we see the need is such a great need that we're going to need help in getting it out to the public. And we're going to need help in people, putting information into the database and things of that nature. So that's why we're coming to you to help us and assist us with
Here's
this.
your next step. What do you see as your next step from here?
Well, one of the next steps we want to do is get it out to the public and have it in every city, every state, every town where people know about missing pieces. And so they have the ability to use it, because we still have people that don't know that they can file legitimate complaints and that missing pieces out there for them to use this for them to have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
As your title says, Unheard Voices. This is an unheard voice that we have, but we want this voice to be heard. And so by using Missing Peace, because we don't know. I don't personally know anyone that hasn't been affected by a negative police experience. And I say
Mm-hmm.
that over all my years and all the different places that I've lived or visited or what have you. There's
Mm-hmm.
always been people who say, "Man, I can't believe I had this interaction with the police. I can't believe that this happened to me, that happened to me. Falsely arrested, falsely accused in court." So this is the way that your voice is getting back some and being able to be heard by the masses. And that's what we want to do. We want to take it all around the country so that we can track these police officers who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they can have consequences to their actions when they're not what we feel is actions of a law enforcement officer, which is to protect and to serve,
Mm-hmm.
not to do anything but that. Um, so we don't want any biases in there. We don't want, you can show this within the court systems of any state, any town, any city, and the facts are the facts. You can't deny if a police has 35, 40, 50 complaints on
Exactly.
this. You can't deny that, and this is why we came up with this idea, because with the same officers doing the same things in every city, town, and state, and there was no consequences. But now we have the ability to hold them to the standards of what they took an oath to as a law enforcement officer, and we just want to get this out to the public and let them know that this is here for them to use.
Yeah, like I said, I feel it's a great tool. Uh, I feel Unheard Voices is going to do everything on their part to help us spread this missing pieces to the people. I know how imperative and important it is to have such a database uh, so people can have access to. Uh, and basically, I think you guys are doing a wonderful job.
We appreciate that. And one important word that you mentioned was access. As Crystal stated earlier, that everybody doesn't have a laptop, everyone doesn't have a tablet.
Yeah.
9.9 out of 10 people have phones, and you can use missing pieces on a phone to document and download and upload your complaint so that you have a voice. We know
Mm,
that everyone can't afford the laptops, and this is why
exactly.
the research. That's why we have the ability. We made the ability for the general, regular, everyday person to be able
Mm,
to use missing piece.
which is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. So I was also I want to say too, like uh, I was saying when I was talking to you at the gym, and I was telling you about some of the issues, which what unheard voices to surface,
Correct.
you
Correct.
know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm quite sure uh, when I was being harassed, and that's how unheard voices became the part.
Mhm.
I could only can imagine how many complaints these officers had.
That's
You
what
know,
we're
I was just probably just a number,
You
but
were
they
another
probably
number.
they done messed with so many people before
Exactly.
me. So if it's
Exactly.
like missing pieces would have been fantastic back then.
Exactly.
And plus
Exactly.
also too, just the fact that you know, we own it. When
Right. And
we the
that's the thing,
people
brother.
that's so important because when they own it, we don't
Correct.
have like no legitimacy to it.
Exactly.
We feel like we're not really a part of it. It's their thing. So I like how you're marketing your database missing pieces, and because it is for us.
It is for us. And you said something again. You keep making these important remarks that you wish you would have had missing pieces back in the day. If we look at all the cases that are on TV right now,
Hmm.
just think about this. And I'm not going to say one or the other. You think about all the cases that are on TV, the huge cases that we see. This
Hmm.
is stuff that's going on in every community every day.
Yeah. Hmm.
But when you look at what comes out from these cases that we see, every police officer that is being dealt with has a history of complaints against them.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them.
Every.
Any case that you look at that we see on TV, they
Mm-hmm.
all have cases of complaints.
Yes.
So if we use missing pieces, we can follow the police to make sure that they are just not running wild and doing whatever they want to do. But
Mm-hmm.
they also know, the police also know that this is a tool that will be watching us. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to be on point. We have to do the right things.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we will be in this database. You can't hide any longer. And the good cop, who we quote say good cops, now they know that they won't be labeled as the bad apples or what have you, because
Exactly.
their names won't show up in this database.
Exactly.
And let me say, in our research, we found out it's 10% of the officers are creating 90% of the complaints.
Wow.
And
Now, good.
I was going to say, and this is important because it allows us to start tracking officer behavior earlier. These officers got to a certain level from doing misconduct, minor, what may be, low level misconduct, but because they never got reprimanded, it
Mm-hmm.
became worse and worse over time until you now have the Breonna Taylors and the George Floyds. They didn't
Where
start
they
out doing
right where they feel they can write up a warrant, break down the door, shoot the
Mm-hmm.
person, kill the person, meet in a garage,
Right.
other stuff, lie in court, and never be held responsible. But
Exactly.
with missing pieces, your name is there, the complaints are there, we have a record of you, and
Mm-hmm.
anyone that wants to, as Crystal stated earlier, however you want to dilute and magnify that information within missing pieces, the
Mm-hmm.
person who is doing that can. So we can see how many times, we can see where the states, we can see the towns, we can see how many
Mm-hmm.
corporals, we can see the sergeants who are supposed to be in charge of the beat officers. Are
Mm-hmm.
they doing their jobs as leaders if they have complaints? The captain. So this is just mind-boggling how much information can come from missing piece to the main public.
That's definitely, I said, because, too, you might, like 2 or 3 years down the line, that once it really starts generating information, I said, you might have a class action suits in certain areas because the
Any
data
area, if
showing
you
that.
look at any area, think of any area, whether it's New
Mhm.
Jersey, New York, Maryland,
Exactly.
Wisconsin, California,
Mhm.
Arizona. I mean, you go anywhere, and all of these states and cities all have police misconduct issues
Exactly.
wherever you go, and that's it's unfortunate, but it's an everyday thing.
It is. It's definitely crazy how they act, and and what gets me about the police, they don't know how to talk to people of color. When they talk to the people of color, they just nasty. I said when they talk to anybody else, they talk to them like a person. And I said to myself, how can you talk to somebody that way and not expect for the person to talk to you back that way?
And you would believe what our data states, but also there's a lot of white people and other colors and cultures who have. It's not always a good rapport or
Yeah,
communication
that's true too.
process. So it's everyone. It's
That's
everybody in communities that go through this situation. So missing pieces is
well,
not
that's
just
true.
for us as Black folks, but it's for everybody too.
So we're just lucky to get the brunt of everything.
Exactly,
Okay?
exactly.
Well, that involves looking at the history of modern policing, which comes
Mhm.
out of the slave patrols.
Exactly. Okay. And that's all. I said it doesn't take much of a brute to be a police officer. I said, they said some of them. They said you're supposed to have a degree today. I said, what the degree to knock you upside your head? You
Right,
know.
right, right.
It's like, and a lot of 9 times out of 10, I hate to say it, a lot of times with that certain privilege that people have access to, they don't really learn as much as we do anyway.
And again, that's why missing pieces is such an important tool, because we can track those people now, and we can
Mm-hmm.
locate them. They can't hide, they can't run, they can't go to another job. It's in the system. We know your name, we know where you're from, we know what you've done, and it's here.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm so excited, for missing pieces. And but what I would like to do, in closing, like I said, I want to, really thank you guys for coming on and inviting, introducing missing pieces to Unheard Voices. And I'm going to make it my business to make sure that this gets out. And but I also like maybe 6 months to a year from now, I would like to invite you guys back on the show. Uh,
Absolutely.
see how we're doing with missing pieces.
Absolutely.
And so I would like to have that date open for you. I'll have somebody contact you when we get closer to that time, and that way we can set up and see how missing pieces is doing.
Yeah, let's not make it so long. Let's do 3 months. Let's do six
Okay, we
to
can,
see where we're going, and how we can get this out.
yeah, we
And
can definitely
again,
do that.
it's an honor to uh, be on your show, and we know that you're very busy, but we thank you for the opportunity. We thank you for allowing Missing Pieces to get the word out, and we just want success, and we want people to feel confident, and we want a change in the
Mhm.
way complaints are looked at and the consequences that are handed out when that day comes. We just thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And also too, I look at, I don't know if you have grandkids yet,
We do.
and you got grandsons, and look, we got to protect the babies.
We got to protect. We got to
If
protect
we
the
don't
baby.
do anything, we can't wait another 10 to 20 years.
Can't happen.
Somebody else like Dr. Felton and Dr. Sill
Yeah.
to come up with this sort of thing.
Here we are. We're here. We're ready. So
Right.
that's why we're here. We're here for that. That's why we're doing it.
And so, like I said, I want to thank you guys once again for coming on Unheard Voices. And we'll be definitely staying in contact.
Definitely.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
All right, now, you guys
All right.
take
Thanks
care.
a lot.
Okay, bye bye.
Thanks to your community.
All right.